Okay, I had visa issues that led me to make a rushed decision to come back to the US and apply for my visa over here in the United States and not in Colombia. And it happened because of a series of events of things. One, we did not start this soon enough. We should have started this before we even made the commitment to move to Colombia, but we didn't look into the visa application process until February. And a lot of the things that we needed to get done took forever, and specifically getting our marriage registered in Colombia took 3 months. This was a problem because I was only permitted in the country for 180 days, so 6 months since December, and I knew that my time was going to expire on June 7th. And the lawyers we hired were like, okay, you gotta apply for this thing called salvoconducto, get that first, then apply for the visa in Colombia. But that was part of the problem. We didn't get our marriage registered until May 31st, and then on June 1st, they made a decision, which the migration office does this every month. They kind of just change the rules like whenever they want to, and they stopped giving salvoconducto to first-time visa applicants, which was me in this case, and this impacted several of the law firm's clients. And so all of a sudden we were put in a predicament of having to make a very rushed decision. Like, I have, 6 days to make a decision. Should I go back to the US or not? Are there other options? So we did start to look into other options, but it just got way, way too complicated. And it made sense to do the most legal thing, which was I come back to the US and then I apply for my visa here and just wait for my visa to be approved. It did seem like, according to the lawyers and everything else that we have read, that we were a high probability of being approved the visa. And that's what ended up being the case. So I came back, left the day, last day that I was permitted to be in the country on June 6th, applied for my visa on June 7th, and then I got my physical visa on my passport on July 15th. So roughly about 5 weeks there is how long it took for me to get my visa. But visa issues to the side, I got my visa. I'm going back to Colombia. It gave me some time to really reflect on some things, reflect on things that I miss about the United States, and also enjoy those things that I miss about the United States, and reflect on some things that I honestly don't really miss that much about the United States. So I'm going to share 3 things I miss and 3 things that I do not miss. The very first thing that I miss is, besides friends and family, of course, is taking walks. And there are several parks in suburban areas that are much like the one that I'm walking in right now while I'm recording this. And it's just freaking beautiful. And it's calm. There's not a lot of people around. There's not like homeless people or any sketch people around. And it's a really peaceful experience. I miss it so much. And the other thing too is that I'm not scared that some motorcyclist is gonna come up behind me and just like steal my phone out of my hand. And so that leads me to the second thing that I miss a lot about the United States is how safe it is here. In fact, I felt so weird the first 2 weeks I was back here after being 6 months in Colombia, and I saw people leaving their phones on tables and not like holding onto their purse or whatever. And I'm like, oh my gosh, they're gonna get their stuff stolen. Just because I've become so much more aware of like, where are my physical possessions? Are they out in the open for people to see? Am I displaying wealth that would cause some person to decide to rob me? And I don't have to worry about those things here. And I miss that. I miss that a lot. And I think Americans take that for granted, how safe it is here. And maybe they just don't know because they haven't traveled to other places, but man, I miss the safety. Okay, the third thing that I miss from the United States is the efficiency of communication and systems and just the way people communicate. I don't find Colombians to be very efficient with the way they communicate. For business, even for family matters, it's just very, very chaotic. And it seems silly, but one of the things that just drives me crazy is that these businesses will have websites, like a salsa place that's well established. Like in Cali, Colombia, they had a couple salsa places, and almost every single one of them, they had like a button on their website that said, hey, reserve your table here for a salsa show. And I'm like, okay, cool. I expect to click on the button, see a calendar, select my time, and get like an email receipt saying that, hey, you've made a reservation at this time, at this place. You know, there's limited reservations or something like that. But that doesn't exist. I click the button and it says, call our WhatsApp number or just text us. And everything in Colombia, and maybe they see it as convenient there, and it is for certain businesses, but I don't think so for like more established businesses where it's like you could create an efficient system of having people schedule and book time there. But for some reason, it's just not the culture. So uh, you have to like get into like a text message battle. That's what I call it, a text message battle on WhatsApp, and basically go back and forth on like what time do you want to schedule something and do something. So yeah, I know a lot of people boast about like WhatsApp being efficient or something or convenient, and I'm just like sometimes it's inefficient. Another WhatsApp situation was when we were having to get something translated, and we were like, we need this done like today if possible, and they're like, well, I have a standard service, I have a fast service and expedited service. The expedited service is 2 days, the fast service is like 3 or 4 days, and then the normal service is like a week. And we were like, okay, awesome, like texting back and forth on freaking WhatsApp. And we're like, we need this thing translated by tomorrow. And then she said, oh, I don't have time and I can't offer that service. I can only offer the standard. And I'm like, why would you text it? Why would you text something like that if you don't have the availability? Just drives me crazy. Anyways, I'm going back to Colombia to experience more of that madness. But let me share some things that I don't miss about the United States. And I'm going back to efficiency. So efficiency causes convenience. And when people experience convenience, they get lazy. And I think things are so convenient in the United States that people are just lazy about doing things that are healthy for them. They're lazy about putting forth effort or trying new things. And they're just so comfortable that they would always choose their convenience over any amount of discomfort, period. And it's just something that I see in the culture. So people just, they don't engage in like activities like cooking their own fresh cooked home meals because they're just like, it's not convenient. I'd rather just order it from Uber Eats or whatever. Things are so convenient here that sometimes people fail to engage in things like exercise routinely, or they just kind of get stuck in their convenience. It's a really interesting thing, and I think that's the only way I can really explain that at this point in time. But related to convenience is another thing I don't really miss about US culture, and what I think convenience often leads people to do, which is they tend to place a lot of their identity in their career. So I think Americans have a huge issue with placing a lot of their identity in who they are and their self-worth and what their careers are, and what their job is and what their salary is. And I think that's ultimately toxic. Not that those things are not very important, and it is very important to work and contribute to economy, but Americans tend to place that as the like pinnacle central thing that you should value in life. And I just don't get that sense from Colombians at all. Like Colombians are very big on like family and time with people and their enjoyment of time. So when it comes to lunch time, if you're working somewhere, they take really long lunches, man. They take lunches that are easily 1 to 2 hours, and that's the norm. And they really enjoy their food and they enjoy seeing people when they eat. But I see Americans rushing through their food, buying and grabbing the most convenient thing and just going straight back to work, and not really enjoying other aspects of life. And there's a lot more I could say about every single one of these bullet points, but this one's huge, and just one that I want to bring to the world, because there's got to be more than just your job that you identify with. And this is something that I've been experimenting with myself this year, you know, because I'm not working like a traditional 9-to-5 job anymore, and I'm doing all sorts of random things. So my life is really not evolving around my work. And so my identity has changed. Maybe not a lot, but it has changed in the aspect of like, what do you do? Like answering that question, what do you do, is not the normal, like, I have this job and I do this thing from 9 to 5. It's like, I do all sorts of things, you know? I enjoy cooking. I enjoy hiking. I enjoy making these videos. I enjoy doing Johnny Martin Finance as a side hustle. And I'm experimenting with other things, and it's kind of fun and stressful in some aspects. And the last thing I don't miss is having to own one of these guys right here, a car. I've not needed to own a car in Colombia. Whitney and I make enough money that we basically Uber and taxi most places. Sometimes we take buses and public transportation, and it's just way more efficient and way more abundant. And I've just not missed it. There's a lot more grocery stores in a close walking distance. So when it comes to grocery store runs, we can just go walk to them, which I prefer to do anyways because I enjoy walking. Of course, it's a very like nerve-wracking walk sometimes because I'm like, I gotta be cautious and maybe not take my phone and because I'm afraid of getting robbed. But I don't miss having a car. I don't miss the maintenance. I don't miss the gas prices and what they've been right now. I just haven't missed that at all. Yeah, cars are great. I think they're awesome. If I was back in the US, yeah, I'd definitely get a car because it's a lot harder to just like live in most places in the US without a car. But right now in Colombia, most cities and even the small towns, you don't really need a car to survive and really get around. It's just a lot more easy based off of how everything is structured and set up. It's more walkable and more abundant with taxi services. Look, somebody fed the ducks. They fed the ducks today. Actually, they feed them like every day. That's why there's so many here. Look at this. What up, buddy? So with everything going on and the inconvenience of basically having to come back to the US to apply for my visa, it's given me this time to reflect on things that I really miss and things that I really like, and also things that I don't really miss. And it makes me think and look at everything in a broader perspective, in that, you know, it doesn't matter where you are in life physically, emotionally, mentally, people get stuck, and they get stuck with where they're at. And they just don't know how to progress and move on. And I think what's important is that people find the things that make them healthy and engage in those activities. So although I've been here and I haven't been complaining of, really honestly not complaining about the process that much, you know, some things have been annoying to wait for. Some things would have been nice enough to know about in advance. But instead of complaining about those things, I'm like, you know, I'm gonna take walks since I'm here by myself. I'm gonna engage in exercise. My friend that I've been staying with, he's got tons of like weights to use. So I've been able to actually do a little more exercise than I've been able to engage with in the past 6 months, more so. And I wanna keep that up when I go back to Colombia. And I think that's what's really important, is that people need to really, no matter where they're at, engage in the things that makes life healthier. And when you engage in the things that makes life healthier, you end up experiencing the byproduct of healthy activities, which is something called experiential happiness, which is never the end result, but it is a byproduct of those things. And it just makes life good, more appreciative. You're able to say, you know what, although things are not working out the way that I want them to, or as conveniently as I'd like them to, there are still things to make each day unique and its own and beautiful and great for me and the people that I'm surrounded by. So I just wanted to throw that nugget of wisdom out there for anybody watching this video as to how I've really been taking this, you know, inconvenient little 5-week stretch of having to come back to the US before I continue my journeys back in Colombia. But yeah, it's been interesting. Hope you guys enjoyed. Peace.